Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Markets with Chip Nellinger. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. If you would like to get a free pair of deerskin leather work gloves, send an email to marketing@axontire.com and they will send you a free pair into the mail, and they'll get them to you. Just tell them Moving Iron Podcast send them to you. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. No matter how you buy your ag equipment, whether it's from a dealer, an auction, or a private party, AgDirect can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com. Tractor Zoom has access to over $20 billion in heavy equipment sales data. Tractor Zoom's Iron Comps is the industry's trusted solution for transparent equipment values and auctionable pricing insights. This podcast is brought to you by Anvil AppWorks, their Dealer Connect CRMI app with integrated inventory management is an affordable Salesforce-based solution for your dealership. Create connected customer experience and transform how you do your work today. Chip is with, Chip, I almost forgot who you're with there for a minute. Blue Reef Agri Market out of Morton, Illinois. Chip, it's nice to come on and talk about what's happening in the marketplace. Chip, how you been, man?
I'm doing well, Casey. How about you?
Oh, doing better than me, sounds like.
I don't know. I was thinking about those deerskin leather work gloves. I mean, that's kind of an oxymoron. I wouldn't want to do much work in a deerskin leather glove.
They keep your hands buttery soft that way. So
I guess so, man. That sounds nice. Yeah. I might have to forge your name on there and my address. Have them send me a pair.
Just send all you gotta do is send an email to marketing@axontire.com. They'll get you some right there in the mail.
Okay, I'm gonna do that.
There you go. They have
a couple weeks. I'll wear them on the podcast and I'll show them off.
There you go. Well, in a couple weeks, you're probably gonna need them where you're at because you're bumping up against November, and that November weather in Midwest and where we're at here now is creeping up on that time where we're looking for that first snow chip. So I guess taking a look at what's going on right now, how is harvest going in your area? It seems like the weather's really cooperating for the most part across the entire Corn Belt. So I guess what are some of the reports you're hearing out there?
Yeah, it really has been, an ideal fall so far. It's been going a little bit slow. A lot of people have been finishing up beans in here, right where we're at, kind of the, call it the Interstate 74 corridor that kind of runs from the Quad Cities all the way over to Indianapolis, right through Peoria here. It's kind of the cutoff. You get south of here and they've had, they're a lot further along. You get an hour north of here and they're just kind of finishing up beans and getting a start on corn. We had 2 hard frosts in a row here earlier. You talk about the weather. It's been a little bit crazy. We actually did have some snow that didn't stick around, but it kind of stuck a little bit earlier this week. We got down into the upper 20s. And here tomorrow, we're going to be up near 80. So Mother Nature is, kind of throwing us a little bit of a curveball. But harvest is moving along. Yields have been really good. People are pretty pleased with their bean yields and, really pleased with corn yields around here. So corn, coming off slowly drying down. I think these frosts that we've had maybe going to, help move that along a little bit. So it's going, but it's going to be a slow process. Still a lot of corn out there. The river now is kind of messed up with the Mississippi River situation, backing everything up, upstream, so to speak. And so a little bit of a problem right now because a lot of places aren't taking beans. There are still just a few beans left in the field. A lot of places aren't taking beans, kind of running out of storage. So we're getting, some logistical problems because of the Mississippi River. But harvest is moving along. Still going to be a few weeks here. I mean, there's a lot of people in the northern third of Illinois won't be finished up till closer to Thanksgiving. So it's been a slow process here, but big yields overall.
Right on. So the Mississippi River thing, the ripple effects that you're going to see across that, do you expect to see some increase in basis because of that, or do you feel like that's just going to work itself out as more train traffic or whatever gets stuff to ports further south and on the west coast?
Yeah, so some of all of the above. It's really a strange year in a lot of different ways. You have the whole drought situation in the southern plains, through the Panhandle, Oklahoma, Kansas, that area. Just really a corn corn in all feed a deficit this year. You got the Mississippi River, obviously lowest levels ever over here, and all up the upper Mississippi. It really has affected basis. I mean, we've seen basis, worsen by 40 to 60 cents over the last 3 weeks as they had these problems on the Mississippi River. It's really strange over here. I couldn't figure it out for a minute, and I think I have it figured out a little bit. So our processor market, the ethanol side, is still really strong. So I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, with the rivers, weakened up by 30, 40, 50 cents, why is the ethanol market so strong? I think part of it is the train volume. They're not getting the train corn that they normally would. It's because of the logistics situation, it's moving to the plains, and it's bypassing these Eastern Corn Belt, ethanol facilities, which normally would be getting train corn in. The train corn's moving further west. And so that leaves the ethanol plants scrambling a little bit. So it's a very dynamic situation and a little bit of a head scratcher. So we've definitely seen the Mississippi River worsen up the basis in a lot of areas. The problem now is I don't see a real quick fix with that. You look at the most recent drought map. I mean, we have a serious problem developed here. It doesn't necessarily matter right now for corn and beans, but this coming spring and summer, if we don't see some relief there, it's really going to affect things, and it's already affecting things on the wheat side. The Southern Plains just get high. What is this? Going on the fourth year in a row. I mean, they just can't buy a break down there.
Yep. So speaking on the weekday, that was the next thing I was going to come to you at. Looking at this whole Black Sea passage of safety for Ukraine to get products out of the Black Sea, that's set to expire here in November. Yesterday Russia was like, I don't know I don't know if we're going to do this or not. They're not going to redo it or not. And then you got Turkey's president Erdogan coming out saying, hey, don't worry about it. There's no reason that this won't happen. We're going to make things happen. Things are good to go. How is the market reacting to that information? Because it feels like they've got some of it baked in, and then there's some of it that are pretty sure that, this is going to happen, so we're going to keep trading this way. What's some of the feel you're getting from that kind of news coming out of the Black Sea?
Yeah, I think it's contributing to this yo-yo action that you see in wheat. Over the past couple months, we've seen a $2 rally in wheat, and then here in the last 3 weeks, we've seen a $1 break in wheat. You get multiple stories on that daily. I think the market's getting a little bit weary of it. I'm surprised that the whole export corridor happened to begin with. I would have bet a lot of money that never happened. I think my brain tells me that it would be easy to not renew that agreement. So I think the market's waiting for more information, and it's going to greatly affect corn and wheat. The weird thing is it's bouncing this wheat market around daily with this, it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, they've exported more corn out of there than wheat, and so it's going to affect both of those markets in a big way. And I just don't know which way it's going to go. I get a sense over the last 2 weeks that, Russia's taken a much more aggressive stance. They're now bombing, civilian targets again. They bombed, some export and sunflower crush facilities that really got the soy oil market fired up. So it's going to greatly affect the markets, but it's an absolute coin toss right now as to whether that thing's going to be renewed or not. And, it's really causing a lot of volatility because it's exactly like you said, one day it's on, the next day it's off. Turkey's sitting there trying to broker the deals, and now they're going to get a huge natural gas export hub from a pipeline coming out of Russia. So, there's a lot of self-interest that's happening in a lot of different ways right now that's driving this thing, and it's hard to predict.
Yep, very much so. Ship over to take a look at the hog market real quick. So they've kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit. They're talking about, they've got an incredibly high hog price right now inside of China. I mean, because obviously their supply is not where it's at. They're telling their farmers, hey, sell more hogs, sell more hogs, sell more hogs, and they can't sell more hogs because they don't have any more hogs to sell. They're just clamoring for more pork to hit the markets, those kind of things. How much longer do you think that is before the Chinese just come in and buy a whole bunch of U.S. hogs as much as they don't want to?
Well, very quietly, Casey, for 5-6 weeks now, they've been back into, buying U.S. pork, not to the size they were, say, 6-9 months ago, but they have very quietly been in there every week for U.S. pork. So I think that's part of the reason that our hog market has taken off. We haven't expanded as much because of labor and construction costs and the inflation there. So we haven't expanded our numbers here, and I think this export demand has been pretty good, and China's been a big part of that. So you could probably go back to the whole ASF thing, and they said, oh, we've rebuilt our hog herd, everything's great. Obviously, you can't believe anything or shouldn't believe anything that leaves their mouth over there as it relates to the markets or anything really. And so likely they just, they didn't build back the hog herd as much as they wanted the world to believe, or B, they're still having ASF issues over there, or maybe a combination of both. So I think it's a big deal, and we've seen a big rally in hogs, partially because of that, partially because the cash markets come back to life. You got next summer hogs, back over $100, really pretty historic high levels. And, that's maybe one of the bright spots in the ag world right now is this hog market, for the next year looks pretty good because supplies are going to be pretty tight. And, call it kind of the recession-proof, protein source because it's generally a little bit cheaper. And if you still have that export demand in the rest of the world, Mexico has been a big buyer. China's still been in there, and I think the hog market, not that it's proved we're going to have $10-15 swings throughout this thing. It's going to be a roller coaster, but fundamentally, the hog market looks pretty bullish out in here, especially out into next summer.
Yep. So cattle on feed report comes out today. That cattle on feed report the last couple of weeks has been very, very friendly to the market. We see with the number of actual head out there that are being processed through the system. Start looking at slaughter numbers and what that looks like. And each week they seem like they get a little more than what the week before. Cattle prices staying high. We're seeing, we saw some sharp drop offs last week, but we've seen a nice rebound back this week, Chip. So looking at that cattle market, what are your thoughts there? And rebuilding that herd is going to take a long time from what's been depleted down to.
Yeah, it really is. And we're not to the end of the liquidation phase yet on the breeding stock, unfortunately. We're going to need to see now. One bright spot is that there are some rains on tap for portions of the panhandle up through Oklahoma and Kansas. So one rain's not going to fix 3 years of drought, but maybe that's a step in the right direction. So I think more of the same for the cattle on feed. I think the numbers are probably going to be on the high side. I think it's something with the liquidation of breeding stock for the last couple of years has kept more pounds of meat on the market. It's probably held us, even though we've had a nice rally. We're sitting here in the mid to upper 150s out here in the winter and spring contracts. And if we can, it's a big if we can get some better rain, get pastures healed up a little bit, and get people restocking, the cow herd, that's when things get really bullish out there. You would have, myself included, I would have thought that would have happened by now, but unfortunately the drought's still there. Hopefully these rains they're supposed to get are maybe the start of some better moisture coming. And again, just like the hog market, you can make an argument that things look really friendly for the cattle side out there. We got this potential recession that we've got to deal with. We're likely already into one, although it might be 6 more months before they finally officially say, oh, we're in a recession. But it's already out there most likely. And so we got to get through that. But livestock sector, other than high feed costs, obviously that's a problem. Things look really pretty friendly out there to me fundamentally at this stage of the game of both hogs and cattle.
Right on, man. There's a lot of stuff going on that protein side for sure. So, well, Chip, hey, good stuff as usual. Folks want to reach out to you, get more information about what it is that you've got going on at Blue Reef Ag Marketing. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, best way is just call our office, 309-550-7213. And we'd love to chat with you. I know it's busy time of year with harvest, but if you're sitting in the tractor wondering about the markets and what your risk management plan should be, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to chat with you.
Right on. A lot of moving parts in the market right now, especially when you start looking at dollar strength and inflation.
I've never seen so many moving parts. It really is. It really is challenging out there. It seems like I say that every year, but it just outside markets, the dollar and crude oil and the war going on and recession and a lot of things outside of just supply and demand and fundamentals of grain and livestock markets are really pushing and pulling right now.
Yeah. So make sure you get a hold of Chip, talk about that plan, because you need one right now, especially heading into prepaying and looking at your input costs for next year. There's a ton of moving parts there. So Chip, appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Casey.
Right on. I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. You can also go to LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast and check out the Moving Iron Podcast YouTube channel where you can see the video version of this very podcast live and at your fingertips right there. So with that, for more information, go check out MovingIronLLC.com for everything Moving Iron related. I know it seems like it's a fair bit away, but September will be here before you know it. September 11th through the 13th is the Moving Iron Summit, Nashville, Tennessee. The good people at Axon have offered to pay $50 of your registration fee by just simply putting in Axon when you guys check out there. So if you're interested in doing that, very, very worthwhile doing that. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Nellinger. Smooth Smart folks. Out.
Moving iron in the 21st century.